Coach.
How you guys doing? Everybody good? Good.
Coach, obviously we haven't necessarily seen in practice the types of kickoffs you guys might be implementing. First, I guess, is that on purpose? And then also just have you guys sort of been working on it maybe in the walkthroughs, or what have you sort of learned?
We did some the other day in practice, and in fact, you're going to see some today. You'll see some kickoffs today. A good amount of them, hopefully get to probably 7 to 9 of them is kind of the goal. But we'll see some today, get a good feel for it. We have been practicing them in the indoor. We practice them all off season. We have a decent feel for it. We're going to learn more every day. That's what I continue to tell our guys. Every single day is different. I learn something new, and that's the great thing about football in general. You're always learning something new, especially when it's a completely different rule. That's going to be cool. We're going to learn every single day.
Heath, I don't know how much you ever had in your trick play bag on kickoff returns, but does the new format either lend itself to possibly coaches putting in some kind of a reverse or does it? Do you think everybody will back off of that in the first year until they're totally familiar with that system?
It's football, and I think anytime you get an advantage, you're going to do it. So I think there is going to be opportunities as we learn more of what type of coverage we're going to see. Obviously, by game plan, we'll have some of those things, those wrinkles. That's part of it. But I think there's a lot of unknown. There's so much stuff of how our team's going to cover it. Are other coaches seeing it the same way my assistant and I see it? I think that's part of it. Is there's so much unknown. We think we have a good idea what we can anticipate, but that's not exact. It's not exact. And I think there's going to be some fantastic coaches that have been doing this a long time that are coming with some great schemes and some great ideas, and hopefully we come up with some of those great ideas as well.
Well, I get it. Even if you were thinking about it, you wouldn't tell us. However, do you think everybody
exactly right?
You think everybody sit back to see who's the first guy to try something kind of freaky with
I think there's definitely a style, I think, is part of it. As far as a special teams coach's perspective, some teams are maybe a little more aggressive, a little more risk-taking, and then some are a little more conservative, really clean, kind of different philosophy. So I think it's you could probably anticipate some of those guys, but it's not exact. All of a sudden, are we considered a team that's going to have a bunch of tricks? I don't know. I mean, that's probably a question for you guys, probably. But we'll have some of those. We'll have some of those things in some of our game plans, and we'll continue to work them. And probably not when you guys are out there, but we'll save those for when you guys aren't out there. But yeah, that's part of it. That's part of the game. We're going to have some wrinkles. If we can gain some advantage on another team and gain some field position by doing something a little bit uncharacteristic, we're going to do it.
Is that a little bit of the process of figuring all this out as a head? I mean, because for so long, there's all kinds of stuff you could do on kickoff. There was pretty standard stuff that you had done for years.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of unknown. So early on, I was, it was a little bit of stress of making sure I was going down the right path. And then, we brought in, Jody came and spent some time with us, and he kind of reassured me. He felt like we were on the right path and going the right direction. And that was helpful a ton, just kind of helped calm me down a little bit because there is so much unknown. But I think that's ball. I think that every week is different. I think this is obviously a new play. But in football in general, there's going to be some different wrinkles, and as a coach, we're always trying to anticipate what we're going to see and prepare our guys and try to stay ahead of it. This is a little bit different because there's no history to it. A lot of the stuff I'm having to show them with these new rules that come out. For instance, the ball rolls off the tee, who's the holder? There's a new rule came out, a couple weeks ago. Well, of course, I had to create a slide. I can't show them videotape of a team in the past of doing this, create a slide, kind of makeshift as best I could and try to create it, and then, of course, work on it in a walkthrough and at practice.
When did Jody come in, Coach?
He came in the spring. He came in spring, and it was great. He was part of his, program, with their South Carolina coaches getting out and, with the NFL teams, and I took full advantage of it. He's a brilliant guy, a good friend of mine, and said, hey, okay, explained it to him, detailed the best I could, literally presented it to him, sat in the meetings, and then, of course, went out to practice and then, of course, picked his brain after practice. Are we on the right path? What do we need to fix? Do you see any wrinkles that can help us out? And he was great. He was a great. A lot of it confirmed what I already believed, and then with a couple wrinkles of some possible other stuff that I needed to try. And so he was a great resource.
I know Doug said, sorry to cut you off. I know Doug said on Wednesday Keelan was dealing with a little bit of a toe issue. I know we've seen him out there and he looks pretty good. He was a guy who you guys targeted as someone who could help on special teams. How have you incorporated him so far?
He's been great. Obviously, his returner ability is unbelievable. He's a kick returner. He's doing a really good job as a punt returner. But I think what the other portion of that is, what can he do in other phases? He's been great. His ability to play gunner. We did some punt gunner reps yesterday, more compete setting, and he was winning a bunch of them. And I thought he's a guy that's going to be a 4-phase guy. He's going to be a good player for us. So I'm happy what I saw in college, and he's even better than that. And his energy, like I said, he's not exactly 100% right now. You don't see that out there. He's just a guy that flies around, has fun, plays hard, wants to be out there. Again, we love him in the room.
What is that competition opposite DT at the gunner position? I know you said you're hoping that you could keep Antonio a little bit on special teams, but also recognize he may have a little more responsibility on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the best gunner groups I've ever had. Obviously, DT has done it for years for us, been really, really good. Antonio did a fantastic job last year. He's a really good gunner. Jerry Jones is another one who's had a really good offseason in camp, and then Keelan. So between, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like we have 4 really, really good gunners, and this is probably the best gunner group that I've ever had, and that's a compliment to those guys. Those guys, and we have a bunch of guys top to bottom that are doing a really, really good job. Like I said, this is a really good group.
What have you thought about Cam Little to this point?
Cam's done great. He's been really, really good. He's so consistent. He's locked in. He's competitive, and he is everything I thought when I went and worked him out. When I met with him, all those great interactions I had pre-draft. He's exactly what I thought, if not better. He's talented. He's doing it. He's been consistent. He's shown the leg strength. He's done all those things. And then the more we could put him in these tougher situations, he's going to kick today in team period, but he's also potentially getting a kick or two in move the ball situations, kind of, move the ball to win a game in the 2-minute. And so just let's see how he reacts in those. But what I've seen so far, I don't see anything. We're going to see anything different. Let's say that.
Any funny moments when you realize how young he is?
I think the funniest thing I had was when I first went to dinner with him. Just realized he was 20 years old and couldn't get a drink. You realize that you're going. It's 20 years old. You forget what they're so young. They're so young. He's just a young kid. That's just coming along great. But he's actually got a birthday coming up, so he keeps telling me he's going to be 21 soon. Yeah, finally.
What do you think of his dirt stash?
He just embraces it. He embraces the quirkiness, which I love. He's just the mustache, everything about him, but lovable kid. I mean, the guys really like him, and he's done a really good job. And you guys have seen on the field, he's done fantastic.
You mentioned Daniel Thomas, also Andrew Wingard and Caleb Johnson, 3 guys that have been re-signed the last 2 off seasons. Just what have those guys meant to your unit? What will they mean moving forward?
They're unbelievable. I was fortunate, obviously, when Dewey was here before I got here, but he was one of the guys I was so excited about. Daniel Thomas, same thing. Those guys were on the roster, and of course I come here and they're highlighted guys of let's make sure we keep these guys in the program. And then Caleb Johnson, adding him from Chicago. Those 3 guys are kind of the leaders, the captains. They help run it. They could run the punt meeting or any specific phase themselves. They run it. They understand it. They hold people accountable. You need those veteran, good players, not only on the field, but even in the classroom, in those meetings of stuff isn't exactly what we're looking for. They're the first guys to walk up there and say, hold on a second, guys. This is not how we play. This is not what we do here, in Jacksonville on special teams. And that's why we've had such a good group. I have such good players that I'm super fortunate. We've had a good group the last 2 years, and that's the standard. That's what we talk about all the time. We expect to be a top 10 group every year. and that's what it is. And like I said, that's it. That's the standard. That's what we're expecting to be.
You mentioned Keelan and Jari and standing out on special teams so far. Any other rookies that have been letting you down, or you've noticed them out there on the field so far?
I mean, I think Josh Proctor's a guy's, for an undrafted guy, he's done really, really well. I think he's a very, very smart player that can play multiple positions. He's done a really good job. I really like what he's done, not only in the drill work, but even the team setting. He's done really, really well. Awesome.
Appreciate it.